Hello, it is April 23rd, 2022, and I want to tell you about what's going on with Breaker Press Games. Hello! Alright, so, wow, we skipped March. Normally I try to do one of these videos every single month to keep people apprised of what's going on, especially because we always have a couple of Kickstarters that are outstanding and what have you. And so, yeah, we missed March completely. And why did we miss March? Well, I will illustrate that with this picture. So that right there is me moving in my very first item into my new house, my beloved Minor Threat poster. And yeah, this was a big change in my life. I needed to, yeah, make a move and make a change. And so I bought a house. And I deliberately went with a house that was going to be something that, one, was small and easy to maintain because it's just myself and a dog at this point, but also would be something that would be affordable, something that, perhaps at some point I could survive on Breaker Press and own this house. And so that is the dream. And so I ended up going with a very small, very inexpensive house. And I have plans. So, but a new house means new problems. And so the very first day, I discovered that the water heater didn't work, and discovered some other problems that needed to be resolved. And so it's been a slow progress, or slow process, and slow progress. Yeah. But it is moving along. But yeah, new house meant new problems, and so it also meant new patterns, how I drive, get to work, and what have you, and trying to fit, time here at the studio into those routines. And so that was a really big thing. I think it's going to be a great thing for Breaker Press in the long run. It is a change that took place. And so, talking about new projects, one of the things, I don't know if some of you go through this, but when everything is in upheaval, sometimes putting your nose to the grindstone on a project that you need to finish isn't where you're at. You do the creative process in order to bring you joy. And so in March and in the early part of April, more of what I have done is doing little bits of work on some future projects. I've got an old adventure, 3 years old now, that has been in retirement for a while, that I want to dust off and bring back to the fore, that I've been working on, called The Furnace Tower. I've also got Stennard Courier Volume 2. The one day I just felt really inspired and put a couple of hours into working on that, and got the stat blocks for half of the characters mapped out and thrown into the layout program. And yeah, I felt really great about it. It wasn't what I needed to be working on, but from the space of the soul, it was the thing that I needed to be work on because it was something that I was doing for the joy of doing it. And I also started work on kind of like I had mentioned before, working on a player's guide for Stennard, and I started work yesterday. I just had this bit of inspiration after the Twitch stream the other night on Wednesday night. And I decided to hit a bunch of... I jotted down 38 character hooks that could be given to new characters. but they would be things that a DM would assign to, or a judge would assign to a character, as opposed to something that they would roll randomly and be able to look at this massive chart and be like, oh, want it to be a surprise. So anyways, and then I started building out a really quick outline of what I would put in a like a 32-page zine that kind of gave the judge inspiration as to how to run adventures in Stennard. So yeah, little things that I worked on, but they weren't the only things that I worked on. I did put time into the important stuff. The other thing that I did in March is I went to GaryCon, and it was absolutely fantastic being able to spend time with Trevor Stamper and with be able to chat for a minute with James Posnell. Met Jen Brinkman for the first time, and met Levi Combs. And so I got to spend time with a bunch of people that I've interacted with online and have never met before, and it was really, really exciting, and it was a really invigorating experience. So that was March. So we go forward, and I want to talk about things that have been going on in April, because that's where we're at. And yeah, I returned to the studio. I actually got in here a few times, not as often as I was before the house, but I got in here a few times in order to get some important work done. One of the exciting things is we started working with a new artist. Hopefully I pronounced his last name correctly. It is Carlos Castillo. And he's done a bunch of work for projects with Old School Essentials. And I really love his work. I've seen, I was following him on Instagram, and I eventually reached out after there was one piece or a series of equipment items that I saw he had drawn in black and white for his drive-through RPG. That's the word I'm looking for. Art that you can purchase and use in your projects. And so I asked him to do something specific for one of my projects for the Protectorate of Jenulane, and that spun into having him do some monsters for Cleft in the Mangled Hills, and I will end up showing you some of his work later on in this video. But yeah, it was super exciting to start working with a new artist. So that being said, let's talk about the stuff that you are all waiting on. So first off, Stennard Courier Volume 1. Stennard Courier Volume 1, as of the recording of this, there are 16 people that are waiting on their stuff. And I apologize deeply that I basically threw basically a month away, and that I could have been shipping your stuff, but with the house and everything, I just kind of got wrapped up. And when I ship things, it is usually like big masses of stuff, and that's where my head is at. I am in the shipping zone, and then my brain switches when I go into creation. And so, yeah, I apologize that I have not shipped those last 16 parcels. Some of you I will be reaching out to get additional postage on those parcels. But yes, that is where things are at. My deepest apologies. This week, the goal will be to put some time in and get those last 16 packages out and on their way to the folks that are waiting on them. So, moving forward. So, Stennard Courier, that was something that should have already shipped to people. Protectorate of Jenulane was slated to ship in April. And it is April right now, and it is not done. So, where are things at? Well, the card deck that I drew the cards. They were pictured in the Kickstarter during while the Kickstarter was running back in September. I ended up just passing the scans of the cards off to Hal, who did the layout work on the Precipice of Corruption and of the first printing of Rabid Dogs. And I am having him. He is much quicker with cleaning up art and getting it prepped and turning it into cards and things like that. And so I asked Hal if he would take that project on. And so that has been passed on to Hal. He has started working on it. Jamie Jordan, artist that does most of our portraits, has almost finished all of the portraits for the Protectorate of Jenulane. And so, he just submitted the art for Glendale Jenulane, the Master at Arms. And I think I need one more portrait. I think I need one more portrait in order for all the portraits to be complete for the Protectorate. But then it comes to me. And I did put some time in the beginning of April into the Protectorate. But I ran into a snag with how I envisioned how the Path of the Valorous section of the book pages were going to be laid out. Because they basically use kind of very similar to how DCC spells are laid out. For the different encounters and how your skill checks are run. And like I wanted to have the art from the card and then also the symbol that would be on a standard poker deck as a page marker up at the top, and I wanted to have an image. I had this idea. It looked great in my head. I started laying it out and it looked terrible. It looked like a jumbled mess. And so I was unhappy with it and need to do some reworking. But that is really where things are at right now. It's like figuring out how those last 15 pages of the book are going to look and get those laid out and ready. And in May, hopefully I will hammer out the last of the pages of the Protectorate of Jenulane. We will get it to Alex for editing, and hopefully by the end of May we will start the print run and get to shipping. I apologize for the delay. The house thing was something that had to take place, and unfortunately it ate up a lot of time. But we are moving forward, and so forward is good. Let's talk about Cleft in the Mangled Hills and Hillwood Camp. So where things are at right now, I want to show you some awesome art. Got to give you something to be excited about. So let's look at the Scuttlekin. And so this was one of the new pieces done by Carlos Castillo. I absolutely love it. It captures the creepy and disgusting vibe of the denizens of the Mangled Hills. And I think the stuff that Carlos is doing for Cleft is just going to put it over the top. I think it's going to be one of our best zine releases to date. Still doing some tuning of the and revising of Cleft. I've run it a bunch of times now, and one of the things that I want to change is giving it multiple entrances. And I think that with the number of rooms that I have, it'll be fine. I think it will play even better with giving players more options and giving them more entry points. It is a very fun adventure. It has a lot of tension, and I think giving people more opportunities to, because currently there are 2 entrances, and I want to add a third in order to give a multitude of options, especially if people scout around. I've also been watching a lot of videos on Jaquang your dungeon. I can't say that hasn't been an influence. It's still going to be a very tight, meant to be played in 4 hours adventure. But I want to give people a little bit more ability to access and have a varied experience as to how they get in and out. So, Hillwood Camp, I haven't done as much movement on, other than we got a new portrait for one of the characters from Jamie Jordan, but that is in process as well. That was much further along in the writing process when we went to Kickstarter. So, that's everything is top notch. Everything's going well. What else is coming up? Romance of the Cyclops Con. So that is coming up in May? Yes. I'm not going to look it up. I will put it in the description. But I will be running 4 adventures as of right now for Romance of the Cyclops Con. You can sign up for those events right now. They are all virtual, so I would love to have you all participating. I am running The Precipice of Corruption, which is the adventure that is right behind me and that I just ran on the Twitch stream, the Goodman Games Twitch stream, under Welcome to Stennard. I am running Wide-Eyed Terror, which is a 2-hour encounter that is an absolute blast, guaranteed to split the party and cause chaos. It is a fun time, and I highly recommend people sign up for that. I'm running the Protectorate of Jenulane for 2 people, and then I am also going to be running a playtest session of the newly resurrected The Furnace Tower. And so I'm really excited to pull that out of the archives and dust it off and give it a new look. So all 4 of those events are up on the Romance of the Cyclops Con site right now, the tabletop events site for that, and you can get signed up. The other thing that I want to mention is that we just had our 3rd episode of Welcome to Stennard on the Goodman Games Twitch channel. I had a fantastic group of players that they pursued the adventure with zeal. There were a lot of laughs, and at the very end, a whole lot of carnage. But we've got survivors and people that will level up and hopefully be back for additional episodes. I've been really enjoying running these adventures on the Goodman Games Twitch, and I really hope people are enjoying watching them, because I think I've got a really entertaining group of people. So what else? Oh, there's one last thing that I want to show off real quick before we wrap this up, and just that the Cleft in the Mangled Hills stickers arrived, as well as a new alternate Tome of Debasement sticker that has the back cover. So those will be going out with packages that are shipped. The Cleft stickers are specifically for people that order Cleft in the Mangled Hills. Tome of Debasement stickers will go out with people that added the Tome of Debasement onto their stuff. But you never know. You might get a surprise sticker. So those are the things that are going on with Breaker Press Games. I'm super excited for what the future holds. Now that I have a new cave to live in, I am excited about that. It is going to hopefully open up the opportunities in the long run to be able to do Breaker Press Games more full-time. I'm super excited about some of the projects that I've started to work on, the Stennard Player's Guide, Rabid Dogs 2, Stennard Courier Volume 2, as well as now the Stennard Judge's Guide. I think all of these little projects are going to culminate into some very cool stuff. And then dusting off the Furnace Tower, you can probably expect that will end up being sent to Kickstarter in the far-off reaches of Zine Quest. No, not Zine Quest. Excuse me, Zine Month. Zine Month 2 off in February of 2023. I love having a bunch of projects that I'm juggling and getting ready for future release. And the future is bright. So once again, thank you for supporting indie games and indie game designers. I really appreciate the support. Thank you all, and have a good weekend. Here in Milwaukee, it is gorgeous. You can see a little bit of the sun coming in the window over off on this hand side. And so, yeah, exciting stuff. Have a great weekend, and out.